I decided to make a retro gaming PC from parts ordered from eBay, like you would maybe want if you were me, aged about 14, around about 1998. So yeah, here is my video. Okay guys, I'm just going to go through the parts that I'm going to use to make this retro gaming PC. What we've got is our motherboard first and foremostly. This is a Dell motherboard. It's a socket 370 motherboard. It's got an old school AGP slot on it and 5 PCI slots. It's just got 2 RAM slots. There's my RAM. I've got two 256GB 162 pin DIMMs at 133 MHz bus speed. So I should have 512 total. Now this motherboard, I originally tried to boot it up using just the 20 pin connector from the power supply. It wouldn't boot. Luckily I found this cable on eBay, which has got this ridiculous proprietary 6 pin connector on it. Interestingly, the other end of it just takes a 20 pin power connector, so I don't really understand why that's a thing. The CPU I'm going to be using is this Pentium III 933 MHz CPU with a FSB of 133. This is an Corsair cooler I got for socket 370 size. The graphics card I'm going to be using first and foremost is this Riva TNT, which is a pre-GeForce NVIDIA card. And the sound card that I'm going to be using is the Creative Audigy 2 ZS Platinum. I've got a Samsung IDE DVD rewriter. For a hard drive I'm planning on using this IDE to SD card adapter and a 16GB SD card. I've got a floppy disk drive, although I'm going to replace that with a black Gotek floppy disk to USB converter, where you can basically have like 100 floppy disks on one USB drive. It's pretty cool, but it hasn't arrived yet. Got some IDE cables, and I've got this, which is a refurbished Corsair VS450, which is going to be perfectly adequate for this build. It's got the ketchup and mustard cables, but they do have braid on all of them. The case I'm going to be using is this Kolink Luminosity case. It's also got 5 bright white LED fans, so it'll be interesting to see how that looks when it's switched on. The reason I picked it is because it's got the side window, and it also has 2 5¼ drive bays. So the next part of this video will be me putting the motherboard together, inserting the graphics card, then I'll just make sure it posts before I put everything else into the case. Now the PC does not have an onboard graphics capability. On the back of the motherboard we have a serial port, 2 USBs and the PS2 mouse and keyboard sockets, and that's it. Let's just put the CPU in. The little gold arrow goes towards the corner that's missing a hole. Now it's time to install the RAM. There we go, that's 512 megabytes of RAM installed. Now it's time to put the blessed CPU cooler onto the CPU. Do this carefully because the die is exposed on these Pentium III chips. Some of the later generations of Pentium III chips actually had a shield, but I think that's plenty thermal grease. Okay. Got to try and get the metal clip on either side over the white clip in the middle on either side. This one here's got like a little slot to put a screwdriver in to push it down. So I do that second, so you've got to kind of hook the first one over. And center the heatsink, and then push down the other side, and it snaps on like that. There's only one CPU fan header that I can see on this motherboard, and that's this one here, so connect up the fan. And now, before we can test it, I need to connect my power adapter. On the 6-pin side there was a little nub just here, and I clipped it off with some toenail clippers because it was stopping me from being able to put it on. So here we go. Sound is healthy. Here's our Riva TNT, and that's just going to go in this AGP slot just here. Doesn't have a clip on it, so it won't snap. So the next thing that I'm going to do is connect the power supply, hook it up to a monitor with a keyboard, and we'll see if this baby posts. Okay guys, I've got my VGA monitor ready here. Plug in the 20-pin power connector. We're going to need a keyboard if we're going to be able to do anything on the BIOS. I have this rather fetching compact keyboard here from about 1999. I'm going to plug the VGA monitor into a graphics card. It's time to fire it up. I don't have a screwdriver handy, I'm just going to use this pointy thing. I've got to turn the power supply on. That usually helps. Fans are spinning. TNT BIOS. We're looking good. Pentium III 933. It's counting the RAM. I'm pretty happy. It's alive. That means the next part of the video is going to be putting everything into the case and getting the rest of the components installed, and then getting an operating system running. Let's hit delete to get into the BIOS. There we go. Pentium III there, 133 megahertz, 256 kilobytes of cache. At the time, it's not too far off actually. Yeah, that's looking good now. I haven't got any drives installed. Yeah, so I'm just going to leave that there. We'll get more into it once we've got it all set up in the case. Well everybody, just a quick update here. I was getting ready to continue with the build, and after taking a closer look at the case I realised that I was in fact wrong about it, and that this side panel doesn't have a smoky effect. It does in fact have a protective film. Let's just pull this off. Pretty tight. That's going to look a lot better when it's on, and you can really see into the case. And I like it because it almost does look a little bit like glass. Plenty cable ties in here. We've got some cable tidies in there, and a big bag of screws. I'm just going to leave the front panel cables there for now. I think the first thing I'm going to do is try and put the motherboard in. 6 standoffs out of the 7 possible holes. Just pick 6 of the correct screws. The standard case screw, but the small version. Okay. Let's get the back panel off and look at the power supply enclosure from the other side. So there's a bit of room for cable management, especially with this extra bulge that we have here. Some hard drive bays in here. Getting power supply in. Putting the fan at the bottom of the case so that we can draw air in and then blow it out of the rear. Can use these slightly bigger case screws, I think. Now before I go any further, I'm going to check that the 20-pin power connector will reach the motherboard. Let's get the front panel connected. I have written on my arm from the table in the Dell motherboard manual. It corroborates with my experience of these two being the power ones. I'm pretty confident that that's the power LED, hard drive LED, and the reset switch. Power switch. The reset switch goes opposite the power, and then the hard drive LED goes above the reset switch on the same side as the reset switch. And the two power LEDs guess I ought to put the DVD drive. How easy is it going to be to get these covers off? I'm fighting with this thing, guys. I don't want to break it, but it's pretty tempting to just... Oh, I got one. I'll take both of them out. Okay. There's my Samsung DVD drive. Gotta get that in there. Maybe it'll go in from the front. I can put a screw in there. Got another one here at the other side. Now for the time being I'm going to use this floppy disk drive because you can't install Windows 98 without some kind of floppy drive to boot from. This trusty old floppy disk drive is just going to go in there. It's pretty ugly, but it works. I have no idea how I'm going to screw this thing in. Okay, I've got it just hanging there by one screw. Yes, not so stick. Okay guys, I've decided that what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this floppy disk drive out of the case for now and just use it for booting. Now, I need a power cable, a Molex for that CD-Rom drive. Alright, so I have two that have a floppy power on. Okay, that's the DVD drive power installed. Use this ribbon cable to connect it to the motherboard. Now I've got this SD card reader which converts to an IDE cable, so I'm going to put that on that ribbon cable. Now, it's not immediately obvious which way around you're supposed to put these. That's interesting. This doesn't seem compatible. Well, that has floored me, guys. I don't know what I've done wrong, but apparently this isn't the same type of IDE as my IDE ribbon cable in here. Looks like I might have to go back to the drawing board and find a hard drive in the meantime. So I think we'll just leave it there for now, guys. Actually, we won't leave it there. I will install the graphics card. Just slot this Riva TNT straight into the AGP port, just like we did in the test build. And secure it with a screw. So this computer looks like it's starting to take shape. I'm going to have to figure out what we're going to do for a hard drive. Some time has passed. I've admitted defeat on this flipping IDE to SD card reader for now. The mistake I made was I got a 44 pin one, which is the laptop size, and I needed a 40 pin. Now I've ordered on eBay the correct adapter, I think, to get it working without actually having to buy a different SD card reader. I bought a 40 pin to 44 pin adapter. In the meantime, I'm going to use this 40 gigabyte IDE hard drive instead. The hard drive needs to be mounted in the bottom next to the power supply just in here. Now, does the hard drive cage come out? How would we expect it to put the hard drive in there and make it stay? How does this work? Maybe I should read the manual. Okay guys, after a little bit more research I've discovered that there is no manual, in this case the Kolink Luminosity, online. So what I've decided to do is actually mount the hard drive to the top of the case using these air holes. I've had a look and I think that it lines up, so let's have a go. I think I should be able to get 3 of these screws in. I don't think it looks too bad. Now then, I've configured the jumpers on the 2 drives so that the hard drive is the master and the DVD drive is the slave. I think it's time to get rid of this tatty IDE cable because I managed to get my hands on a much nicer clean looking one, a new one. This one's the master. Doesn't it focus? That's the master. That's the slave. That's what's going into the motherboard. Okay guys, I'll be honest, I've been making lots of rookie mistakes and doing little reshoots, but what I've done wrong is put the hard drive in back to front. And before that, I forgot to set the jumpers. So I've actually taken it off and replaced it twice. Let's see if I can get this ribbon cable in. Ah! Okay, that's that. Also, what I need to do is connect the power to this hard drive, so I'm just going to move this cable that I was using for the DVD drive, a long one, so that I can use it for both. Stuff that one in there like that, and this one will have to go into the hard drive at the top of the case. I guess the next thing to do is going to be to boot this computer up, see if I can't get the drives detected, and then hopefully install Windows 98 using the floppy drive, which I'm not going to bother mounting in the case because I'm just going to need to use it to actually start the installation of Windows 98. And then when my Gotek floppy emulator arrives, I will install that. Let's boot her up, see if I can get the drives detected. Will it work? We have live. Okay, I'm going to want it into the BIOS. Okay, I'm in the BIOS. Let's have a look and see what we have going on here. Okay, the DVD drive is detected, and the hard drive looks also detected. Master and slave, so that's good. Seem to have a floppy disk drive there. Let's check the boot order. First boot drive floppy, second CD-ROM drive, third hard drive. I think I can switch the hard drive and the CD-ROM drive over. There we go. Okay, that's F10. Okay guys, the next thing that I need to do is I need to clear the hard drive that I took from the other system because it already has an operating system installed on it and we want a fresh clean install. So in order to do that you need to boot from the Windows 98 boot disk and find a version which has the format tools on it. So I'm going to try and boot from that disk now. Hopefully it'll boot from the floppy. Okay, it's giving me a prompt. Let's see if it'll just let me format the C drive. Warning, all data on non-removable disk drive C will be lost. Proceed with format, yes. Right, this is probably going to take quite a while, guys. Okay guys, the format has completed. Wants me to give a volume label, 11 characters maximum, I think that means. Let's go for Retro Boss Retro Boss 18 because it's 2018. Okay, that's the format completed. The next thing to do will be to do a fresh clean install of Windows 98. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap my floppy disk for a different one. I'll put the Windows 98 installation CD into the computer and then reboot it. Looks promising. Start Windows 98 setup from Cd-Rom drive. That's loading the drivers that it needs to run the Cd-Rom drive. Okay, welcome to setup. Set up Windows now, press enter. To learn more about setup before continuing, press F1. To quit setup without installing Windows, press F3. Right, I definitely want to go ahead with this, so I'm going to press enter. You're now going to perform a routine check on your system. To continue, press enter. Okay, it's initializing Windows setup. There we go. And my mouse is working. So here we go. Okay, the mouse is sat on the carpet at the moment. It's very sensitive, so I'm just going to use the keyboard. To begin setup, click continue. I accept the agreement. Alt and A because A is got the underscore underneath it. Time to put in my Windows product key. Okay, that's the serial number entered. I'm going to select the directory where I want to install Windows 98. We'll go for C drive Windows. Going to go for a typical install. User information, put my name. Not going to have a company. Just go for the most common components, whatever that means. United Kingdom, because that is where I am. Okay, Windows 98 startup disk. This is the part where you eject the disk, and then you hit cancel to skip making the startup disk. So we're going to begin copying files. Please sit back and relax while Windows 98 installs on your computer. During this automated installation process, blah blah blah, Windows just got better. Okay guys, this is pretty dull, so we'll just kind of skip through this bit. Okay guys, it wants me to set the time. Let's just quickly go through this. Yeah, that's about right. It is Saturday, February the 3rd, 2018. Updating system settings. Restart now. Now it's booting Windows 98 setup from the hard drive. I don't want a password on this computer. It's detected the monitor. Just going to go for the standard Windows drivers. And there we go, that's the desktop. That's it guys, we've managed to load into a Windows 98 desktop. Now what I'm going to do is install a copy of WinZip off the Cd-Rom. Let's go for WinZip 8. Now I'm going to install a driver for my Buffalo USB drive, just in case I didn't show it before. There is the USB drive. So I'm just going to extract all the files to a folder on the desktop. Now let's go and check the device manager. Okay, USB flash disk is showing up there. So I'm going to go into that, reinstall driver, and I'm going to choose the ones I've just put on the desktop. Now the driver is showing up in the USB controllers section of the device manager. Okay guys, I've got some drivers on a USB stick from the Dell website. I'm hoping that these are going to do good for my system. This one's some kind of chipset detection update driver. I'm going to try and install this one. Intel 800 series chipset update utility version A04. Let's see what happens. The Intel chipset software installation utility installs the target system with the Windows INF files that outline to the operating system how the chipset components will be configured. This is needed for the proper functioning of the following features: Core PCI and ISA PNP services, plug and play services, AGP support, IDE/ATA 66 storage support. So yeah, so this is pretty important. Dual hardware detected. Intel firmware hopper device. PCI to PCI bridge. Processor to AGP control. This seems like a pretty important driver. Okay, let's have another little look in the device manager. Okay, well, I've lost all my exclamation marks. I'm going to try and install the graphics driver. I've got Forceware 71.84. Okay, I can see the NVIDIA icon in the taskbar there at the bottom of the screen. Let's wait for it to finish loading everything up. Right, it's now letting me select 32-bit color 1024x768 resolution. It seems to work. Oh no, it's gone back to 16-bit color. Let's try and change it to 32-bit color. Okay, that's better now. We're in 32-bit color mode. There we go, we've got Riva TNT here. Riva TNT properties is popping up. This is interesting. Now to test whether or not my graphics driver is working, I must install a game. The game I'm going to install is Unreal Gold. Let's see if it'll autoplay. Okay. Install. It's installing some vintage version of DirectX now. Before playing, you must reboot your computer. Okay guys, moment of truth. Let's see if we can run Unreal Gold. Let's go for Direct 3D support. It's not showing OpenGL, that's interesting. This is tense, it keeps flashing full screen and not full screen. I think it might be falling on its ass. This program has performed an illegal operation. Oh no. Okay guys, I've had some success. I found a different driver. It was tiny, it was only about 1.5 megabytes. I think it might be something that I need because I've got the creative version of the Riva TNT. Anyway, as you can see, I'm getting some... The game is running, but I am getting some visual artifacts. I'm not really sure why, so I'll come back to you once I've figured out how to fix it. Okay guys, well, some time has passed. I've been experimenting with different drivers. I've been through a whole bunch of different drivers for the Creative Blaster Riva TNT. think I've managed to get what's probably the, I'd like to say the most recent working driver, but I've had a real trouble getting the driver to work. But as you can see, I've managed to get a driver that works. At least there's the OpenGL driver working. I can run Unreal in a 32-bit color, alright, but in 16-bit color it gives some pretty nasty artifacts. Let me show you. Unreal would be playable on this system in 32-bit color mode, 640x480. In the Gnarly Castle demo, we're getting about 24 frames per second average, which isn't too bad. I mean, it's just playable. So yeah, I mean, I'm still getting some of the flickering artifacts even in 32-bit color, but it's almost playable. It's not too bad. In 16-bit color, there's all kinds of stuff going on with walls disappearing and fun and games. But yeah, we're getting there. So the next thing I want to do is install the sound card and the sound card drivers. Okay guys, I've installed the sound card into the PCI slot there. I just want to get some speakers set up. There's the speakers in place. Got a couple of Logitech desktop PC speakers. Just need to figure out which port to plug the jack into. I downloaded the driver CD from the Voodoo driver archive using ISO, and I burned it onto a Cd-Rom. So let's see if we can get this installed. Okay, it's picked up the audio device. I'm just going to click cancel because I want to use the program to install it on the disk. Whoa! Look at that splash screen. Okay, it's just going to take a little while to install. Now it's asking me to put the Windows installation disk in. Frustrating. It's asking me what Windows to reject. Which I'll do. Crack the cold one. You can't go wrong. Setup is complete. Please remember to restart your computer system for the changes to take effect. Oh, such a sweet and fantastic sound. Currently have this blaster control panel showing the driver versions there. It says we're using driver version 4.10.01.2103.01.034. Let's try Quake 2 again. Ah, here we go. Okay guys, let's benchmark this baby. What do we need? Time demo 1. Okay, and is it map demo 1.dm2. Here we go. Okay, there we go. We got a 26.5 frames per second. The video settings are 1024 by 768. 8-bit textures disabled. Using the OpenGL renderer. Let's see what happens if we drop it down to 800 by 600. We'll benchmark it again. Okay, 800 by 600, we're getting 44 frames per second. So let's drop it down to 640 by 480. And we'll try it one more time. Okay, 640 by 480, we're getting 66.8 frames per second. Alright guys. The next thing I'm going to do is a very important part of the process. So we have a Pentium III sticker. Let's see if I can get it in focus. That came all the way from Australia, especially to go onto this case. So let's peel the sticker off and see if it's going to stick. Where should we put it? I think just there. Okay guys, I've decided that what I'm going to do next is just tidy up the case. Let's get the cables tucked away in there and see if I can get that front panel back on, make it look nice, and then I'll do some more benchmarks. Okay, I've got the cables just kind of tucked away there. Let's see if we can get the side panel back on. Could have a look at trying to get these fans connected up. All I can really use is the Molex, because there are no fan headers on this motherboard. We tried to hook them all up, and how much noise it'll make with all of those fans going. Okay, I've got two Molex headers on here. This one will reach the exhaust fan there. And this one, I'll just attach both case fans for this one, hopefully they both work. Boost her up and see what happens. Let's give it a test. Oh, look at that. All three fans are spinning. Very nice. It's just running directly off the power supply, guys. Okay. Well, I think that looks pretty cool. It looks kind of like a modern gaming PC. With Windows 98 and a Pentium III sticker on the case. Okay guys, before I go any further, I just wanted to say something about the case. This is the magnetic filter that goes on the top of the case over these holes just here. I actually don't really want to put them on, obviously because there's some screws sticking out because of where I put the hard drive, but also just because it's a hard disk drive, and I think that the magnets which are on the bottom of this thing might interfere with the disk. So I'm not going to take the risk. Maybe I'm just being paranoid. Anyway, I thought that what we could do next is see if we can get Half-Life running. Okay, let's try and run Half-Life. Ah, that sound, the sweet sound of Half-Life. Okay guys, let's just do some configuration. Video modes. We want OpenGL. I have to use the mouse. Okay, let's try for OpenGL 800 by 600. New game.
Good morning and welcome to the Black Mesa Transit System. This automated train
I can enable frames per second to be displayed on the screen using a console
Black
command.
Mesa Research Facility personnel.
The command is
If it is necessary to exit the train, disabled personnel should be evacuated first. Please stay away from electrified areas and proceed to the emergency station until assistance arrives.
well, I can see the FPS counter using CL_show FPS 1, but the actual frames are off the side of the screen. Let's try changing it to Direct 3D. And we'll go for 1024x768. Okay, I'm getting a massive input lag. That's crazy. That's an input lag of very many seconds. I'm not sure why it's doing that, guys. I think I'm going to put it back to OpenGL. But we'll stick with 1024x768.
Do you have a friend or relative who would make a valuable addition?
Okay, the input lag is gone.
Immediate openings are available in the areas of materials handling and low clearance security. Please contact Black Mesa personnel for further information. If you have an associated background,
You can almost see the frames per second.
Continued employment in the Black Mesa.
Okay, seems to be going between the high 20s. Sometimes it goes up to the 40s. It's doing 38 right now. That's a 1024x768. So that's definitely playable. There's 45 in the corridor there. 44.
Your future depends on it. Now arriving at Sector C test labs and control facilities.
Morning, Mr. Freeman.
Okay guys, I think that'll do for now. Okay guys, I thought we'd, for another benchmark, we'd run 3D Mark 99. I've got it on this memory stick. Let's get it installed. 3D Mark 99 Max. Okay, you need to enter the username and registration code for 3D Mark 99 Max, but fortunately Future Mark, in this grand old year of 2018, they just give you it. So it's 78TR2, and then a dash, and then 8DBDU, and then BMX XS, and the username is Future Mark with a capital F. So let's run Future Mark. New 3D Mark benchmark. My project. Edit. Okay, that's fine. We'll stick with that. It's going to run it in 800 by 600 16-bit color. Let's go for 1024 by 768 benchmark. Okay, so in the first test we're getting the low 20s. This first person shooting test we seem to be getting the low 30s. This is a very thorough test. It says there's 26 tests. It could be here for quite some time. Okay guys, so there you have it. We scored 2,566 3D marks with 13,950 CPU 3D marks. I think we can see where the bottleneck is in this system. Well, that was my video. Hope you enjoyed it. In the next video I'm going to get my hands dirty with some 3DFX Voodoo cards. Hopefully get SLI working. And yeah, it's going to be fun. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. or give it a thumbs down if you didn't like it, or if you think any of it was worth talking about, then leave some comments down below. There will be more videos to do with retro gaming, old hardware, new hardware, probably. And I've got lots of videos on NECA aliens figurines, so check them out too. Oh yeah, and music. I make music. Sometimes there's music, so subscribe.